It's the final countdown, almost to the end of week 3 of our Flexibility for the Inflexible Challenge. Next up is our Butterfly Sit series. If you have watched the previous videos, you know that this is definitely the hardest one out of all 3 of these for me. But we have some really good tools we can put to the test here. So if you haven't seen the toe touch or the back scratch yet for this week, you'll know that this 3rd week, it's the same sequence as week 2, but we're adding more play and variability in by focusing on breathing patterns, more head movement in any position, or more reaches in any stretch if it's appropriate. And you're going to see I'll kind of talk through some options as we go through, but this is how you supercharge really any stretch, any mobility piece by helping your brain map that area even more. So excited to dig in. Let's start off with our test retest. We're seeing how close can we bring our feet in comfortably? How easy is it for us to sit tall with a flat back? And how low do our knees go? I mentioned this before, but my family history historically is that no one can sit in this position. So the fact that I can even sit like this with my feet apart, even though my knees are super high, I can do this comfortably. Most of my family cannot. So there might be potentially some structural issues here, but I can still try to get as much functionality out of what I have as I can, and over time you can see big changes still to structure. All right, so I've got my baseline set for the day.
5.
Got the Nerd Fitness app, coaching app, ready to rock. First one, rocking frog stretch. So the first one, if you remember, this involves us not having to be really on our knees. I'm going to squeeze my butt, bring my knees apart, feet together, like I'm doing like a SEAL high five. And then that's my set position, is braced with my glutes on, and then I'm going to drop my feet down to add the stretch. That's the tensioner here. Now, if I wanted to add nods, I could look back at my feet. I could look under my armpits. Here, I could look up to the ceiling, down to see if I have a mustard stain on my shirt. So those are all ways I could add a little bit of novelty. And what I notice is, like, when I'm just here and squeezing and trying to bring my feet down, it's torturous. And then as soon as I add nods, it's like, it lessens it a little bit. Right? It's like my brain's paying more attention to different things. And so it's kind of interesting. Then the second progression we had was going knees wide, feet wider, and going into a rocking position, trying to rock the hips back towards my heels without actually dumping and rounding my back. So I'm going to try to keep a flat back as I go here. You can practice from the hands, from the elbows. Again, interesting position. Changes the angle and the way my weight shifts. If I'm looking one direction versus the other, I'm looking up, I'm looking down. If I'm adding reaches, walking the hands back and forth almost as I do this stretch. So there are lots of ways we can play with opening this up and trying to make this position feel more normal, more comfortable. And then, of course, the one that I haven't really been talking about a ton yet this week, because we covered it already, which is breathing. If there's any point where you feel your breath catch, probably not a good position to hang out in, and you might want to back out of that. All right, now we're going to go into the butterfly rocks. I'm going to elevate my hips a little bit, bring my feet together. You do not have to elevate your hips if you already feel comfortable here, but from feet together, I'm going to gently reach my knees to the ground, and then press the insides of my elbows against my thighs and rock slightly back and forth. Now, you can think of the same thing. You can add nods. I'm just going to shift my weight position over, side to side, up and down. You can add reaches, where maybe I'm not pressing on a knee with one side at a time, but I'm trying to like stay balanced here as I reach. So since I can't reach my hand out, because I'll go through the glass, I'll reach my elbow out that way. Or shifting back. Just trying to own that position more, feel more comfortable. I recommend not talking as much as me because when you talk like this, you can't breathe deeply. The talking does drown out the fighting of the children in the next room. So maybe that is a benefit. I don't want to do my homework. I'm not your teacher, but I'm just trying to help you. Quarantine life. Still got about 45 seconds.
Rest.
That feels good. Okay. Next, we're going to that one leg out, rock back. So we're on one knee, the other foot is out to the side, and I'm rocking my hips back towards my heels, which is going to give me a gentle stretch along my groin here. If that being on that knee, rocking feels uncomfortable, we talked about we could put our hands on like a table with one leg out to the side
One leg out,
and
rock
just kind
back.
of shift our weight back into one hip. Be another way to gently do it, or even standing and leaning towards one side could be a way to do it. But I'm gonna go into this lateral position, and then actually here, pretty easy to add head like nods and reaches. So I can look over my shoulder, either way, look underneath, look out, look up as high as I can. I can add reaches. If I can with reaches sometimes too, I like to go across my body. So if you imagine there's a midline running right down your center, if I can reach my left hand to the right side, right hand to the left side, vice versa, that cross-body action also can light up the brain, connect the right and left hemisphere because you're having to coordinate those sides together a little bit more. If you have a lot of tension in your ankle, you might not be able to keep your foot flat. You might have to let your ankle roll up to the side a little bit more for this. That's fine. Just go slow. Pay attention to where you're at. Pretty safe. I felt like we were getting close to being done with that one.
Rest.
Then let me go ahead and switch sides. And I'm feeling
One leg out, rock
so
back.
much better from that toe touch sequence we did earlier today, and you might have done earlier this week. By the time this video comes out, I was destroyed from Academy 3B. Just noticing that while we've been in quarantine, apparently I have not been hitting my hamstrings quite as hard. So doing some single leg RDLs just blew me up. And I was super sore and stiff this morning. And while I'm still sore, it feels like a normal sore now, and the stiffness is gone. It feels much, much better. So it's nice when the things that you tell other people to do actually work for you, right? Yeah, adding nods. I'm going to start adding some reaches. With the reaches, there is no right or wrong. You're just trying to play, find something different, something that might feel good to you. 2, 1.
Rest.
Shake it out. Alright, bear sit crush time. Crush it. So we're getting into our shin box position. One knee is in front, straight across, other knee out, shin straight back. Remember, the more I prop myself up when my hands are leaning back, the easier it will be. The more I try to stand up straight or even take away the stability of my hands, the harder it's going to be. I'm going to imagine I'm crushing an orange, making some orange juice right under this knee. I'm going to pry open that back hip as far as I can. As soon as it gets stuck, I'm going to keep that distance. Imagine I have like a pry bar right between those two hips until I open up and shift. And then I'm going to shift that one down. Once I get down here, and this has already been pried open, it's okay to just let that drop. I'm making orange juice under the other knee now. As I come up, shift, open, and go back. The slower you go, the more control you try to have, the more you're going to feel this. Now over here, I am kind of already nodding a little bit because my head's popping around, but I can pause in any position. I'm here, add nods, add reaches in the middle of that transition, add reaches. Look, over a different angle, different shoulder. Still trying to control that deep breathing. If you travel a little bit, I think I notice I'm shifting this way as I go, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Great.
Rest.
Felt pretty good, honestly, compared to the last couple times we've done that. Okay, and this is what I say, like day-to-day stuff can change, right? All right, so next we're going into our elevated pigeon pose. Again, that thing I had in here before didn't really work. But step one would be getting back in our shin box, but now I'm getting tall, getting set, and then leaning the chest forward. So spending more time in this chest hovering over the knee position, which is going to get more stretch on the outside. We can toss our knee across a sofa or a chair and let the foot drape off the side, and then be more like in a standing position doing it. Or the third way that we showed last week, which I really like, is one foot in front of the knee, let that foot drop out to the side, and then bring that hip, belly button, and chest towards the heel. You see I'm actually letting my foot roll onto the outside. Now from here, can add nods, add reaches. Again, it's okay to lose balance. We're exploring new things. You're going to find you're having to stabilize in different ways. That's a-okay. And you'll also see, like, I'm switching between these different variations. Feel free. Feel free to switch between the different ones. You do not have to do everything, like one thing all at once. You might actually find that exploring the different variations that we've been showing over the last couple of weeks actually feels better, because you spend, you get like different stimulus from each one. Even though they're all like essentially working the same thing, they're all slightly different.
Rest.
So you might get a slightly different feel from all of them.
Pigeon pose. Elevated.
hard for me to be posted up without this hand out here. Maybe that base position, I could drape it up. I could come into that position where I let that knee drop out.
Rest.
All right. Got 2 movements left. Next one. This is the one that's that side to side Cossack squat where we're going wide like a sumo wrestler. And then basically I should feel myself be in a lateral lunge position and then grind across to another lateral lunge position. So now we're trying to build a little bit of strength in this range that we've opened up. You might do this as an assisted lateral lunge as well, where I'm sinking back into one side, coming back up. But as I said last time, if those feel uncomfortable in any way, let's go back and spend a little bit more time hunching around in our butterfly sit. So any of these are good options, or moving between variations of all of them. In that Cossack squat, if I go side to side, I could add reaches, which just starts making me feel almost like capoeira, if you've ever seen that before. Lots of different angles to play with. That was fun. So I'm going to do a little bit there, get a little bit of strength and stability, openness in those ranges. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time right now trying to bring my feet a little bit closer in. And not using my elbows to press down, but actively opening up my hips. So I'm thinking of moving my knees down under their own power. Feels good. For our final one, we're going to go into a straddle walkover.
Rest.
You can still elevate the hips if you want. We're going to go wide legs. Matt, and this is the one I like to think I'm drawing a rainbow from side to side. We're pointing the toes down so we can access a little bit more of the groin and external rotation, not as limited by the hamstring. You could also do this. Last week I showed going up on a wall. The closer your hips are to the wall, the harder it is, and I can let gravity kind of assist and help me with this stretch. You can see that this one really is already kind of a reach, but it's a little bit of a narrow reach. So I could reach over here, look over the shoulder, up, down, to the side. I could reach in different ways. That opposite hand coming across more, or maybe I even reach outside of the lines of my legs. I just want to feel strong, stable, just like a little bit of, just that little bit of discomfort, not pain, not sketchiness, just, I'm not used to being in this position. maybe the first time I've been touching my hairy hobbit feet doing this. Just doing some different reaches, posting up, looking at different angles around me. Trying to just get more aware of this position, how it feels. I used to be on my tippy toes, tippy fingers, because that's as far as I could go, but now I actually feel like I can kind of paint the floor a little bit. All right, so now we're coming in for our test retest. Again, feet are closer for me. I can't tell on the video, but this actually does feel more open to me. Maybe if I come to this variation, that does feel more open to me, a little bit easier to go down. So that was the first time where I felt like maybe that opened up even more for me. I was feeling, again, pretty good from strength training yesterday and doing the toe touch sequence this morning for me. And so maybe there's a combination of that worked for me too. These are the kind of connections that it can be good to start paying attention to. Maybe something I did before opened me up or shut me down. And I think the more we can pay attention to that and repeat and experiment with it, more likelihood we get something that sticks. All right. Thanks again, everyone. Hope you had an awesome week 3. And we're into the final week of the challenge next week. Looking forward to it.